Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you have ever felt that tight ache in your chest when a woman looks at you just a little longer than normal, this is for you. That moment when something feels deeper, but no one says it out loud. Stay with me, because what I am about to reveal is uncomfortable, powerful, and rarely explained honestly. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel and like this video, because what you learn here will protect you from confusion, false hope, and emotional self-sabotage. I am speaking to you not as entertainment, but as a female psychologist who has listened to thousands of private confessions. Men come to me thinking they are just another option. They are wrong. There is a hidden signal women give when you are more than a crush, and it does not look like flirting, texting first, or physical closeness. In fact, it often appears as the opposite. Silence, slowness, emotional restraint. When a woman sees you as a temporary desire, she is expressive, she is easy, she mirrors interest quickly because there is nothing to lose. But when you matter on a deeper psychological level, her nervous system shifts. She becomes careful with you. She watches her words. She delays reactions, not because she is playing games, but because you now have emotional weight. And weight makes people cautious. Here is the truth most men never hear. Attraction excites the body, but emotional significance activates fear. Fear of loss, fear of exposure, fear of misjudging you. When you are just a crush, she enjoys you. When you are more, she studies you. She evaluates how you affect her sense of control. She notices how safe she feels being seen by you. That internal monitoring is the hidden signal. You may feel her pull back slightly, right when things feel real. She might take longer to respond. She may stop oversharing. This is not disinterest. This is emotional recalibration. Her mind is asking a serious question. Is this man capable of influencing my future emotional state? Men who misunderstand this panic. They chase reassurance. They overperform. And that pressure collapses the very depth she was beginning to feel. The man who understands stays grounded. He remains consistent without pushing. That steadiness is what confirms you are not just a crush, but a psychological anchor. And she feels it. When a woman realizes you are more than a crush, something subtle but profound changes in how she experiences time with you. She no longer treats moments as disposable. Silence becomes heavier. Conversations linger in her mind long after they end. She replays your tone, your pauses, your restraint. This is not romance. This is imprinting. Here is a psychological truth most men never understand. A crush lives in the present. Emotional significance lives in the future. When you become more than a crush, she unconsciously starts projecting forward. Not marriage fantasies, not labels, but emotional outcomes. How would rejection from this man feel? How would acceptance change me? Would losing him destabilize my sense of self? That is why she may test you without realizing she is doing it. Not with drama, not with manipulation, but with micro moments of vulnerability, followed by withdrawal. She opens a small emotional door, then watches carefully to see if you rush in, hesitate, or respect the space. This is not a game. This is her nervous system collecting data. If you respond with emotional volatility, you fail the test. If you respond with emotional absence, you also fail. The man who passes does something rare. He remains emotionally present without demanding access. He does not interrogate the distance. He does not punish it. He allows her to return at her own pace. This creates a powerful internal conflict inside her, because now she feels safe and unsettled at the same time. Safe because you are stable. Unsettled because stability makes emotional attachment inevitable. And attachment is the one thing the human mind both craves and fears. Men often think being desired means being chased. That is a fantasy taught by movies and social media. In real female psychology, being deeply desired often looks like restraint. It looks like hesitation. It looks like a woman who suddenly becomes more composed around you than she is with anyone else. Why? Because you matter enough to hurt her if things go wrong. This is where most men sabotage themselves. They mistake seriousness for boredom. They escalate when they should ground. They demand clarity when clarity has not yet emotionally formed. And the pressure fractures what was growing organically. Understand this. When you are more than a crush, she is not deciding if she likes you. She already does. She is deciding what it would cost her to let herself need you. and the man who does not rush that decision becomes unforgettable. There is a moment when a woman stops trying to impress you. Men often misread this as loss of interest, but psychologically, it signals the opposite. When you are just a crush, she performs, she curates, she presents a polished version of herself, because the outcome does not feel dangerous. When you become more than a crush, performance feels exhausting, authenticity takes over. This is where the hidden signal becomes emotionally heavy. She allows you to see her contradictions, her tired moods, her quiet moments. She no longer fills every silence, she lets gaps exist. Those gaps are not emptiness, they are trust. Here is something men rarely hear. A woman will flirt with many men. She will emotionally rest with very few. Emotional rest only happens when her nervous system does not feel threatened by judgment or abandonment. When she can sit beside you without proving her worth, you have crossed a psychological threshold. You may notice she asks fewer surface questions and more reflective ones, not about your job or hobbies, but about how you think, how you handle pressure, what disappointments shaped you. This is not curiosity. This is compatibility scanning. She is mapping whether your inner world can coexist with hers without chaos. At this stage, she becomes highly sensitive to inconsistency. A missed promise that would mean nothing before suddenly registers deeply. A shift in tone feels amplified. That sensitivity is not neediness. It is emotional investment. Your actions now carry symbolic meaning. Men who are unaware of this become careless. They joke at the wrong moment. They dismiss her emotional cues. They assume comfort equals security. It does not. Comfort is fragile when feelings are unspoken. Another hidden signal appears here. She starts protecting you in subtle ways. She defends your absence to others. She reframes your flaws internally. She gives you the benefit of the doubt without telling you. This is not rational behavior. This is attachment forming quietly. If you pull away too sharply here, it wounds her more than she will ever admit. Not because she expected a relationship, but because her nervous system had already categorized you as emotionally significant. This is the phase where men who remain grounded become rare. You do not increase effort, you increase presence. You stay congruent. You show reliability without emotional pressure. That steadiness becomes the foundation she did not know she was searching for. When a woman stops performing and starts resting in your presence, understand this clearly. You are no longer just a crush. You are becoming a psychological home. When you are more than a crush, her fear does not disappear. It intensifies, but it changes shape. It stops being about whether you like her and becomes about whether she can trust herself around you. This is the stage where her emotions feel slower, heavier, and more controlled, not because she is losing interest, but because she is gaining awareness. Here is the hidden truth. Women do not fear men who excite them. They fear men who can change them. And change threatens identity. When she senses that you could influence her choices, her boundaries tighten. She becomes more intentional. She starts regulating how much of herself she reveals, not to manipulate, but to protect her internal balance. You might feel her resisting emotional momentum. She may pause before responding to intimacy. She might redirect deep conversations. This is not rejection. This is self-regulation. Her mind is saying, slow down, because this matters. At this point, many men panic. They interpret restraint as loss and try to pull her closer with intensity, declarations, or pressure. This creates the opposite effect, because now she feels responsible for your emotional stability. And responsibility kills attraction faster than distance ever could. The man who understands does something counterintuitive. He stays emotionally solid without increasing demand. He does not chase reassurance. He does not withdraw to regain control. He stays calm, present, self-directed. This tells her something powerful. You are not using her emotions to regulate your own. That realization changes how she sees you, because now you are not just emotionally significant, you are emotionally safe. Another signal appears here. She begins to notice how you handle frustration, disagreement, or uncertainty, not because she expects perfection, but because your reactions now feel predictive. If conflict arises later, will this man destabilize me or ground me? If you respond with defensiveness, sarcasm, or emotional withdrawal, her body registers danger even if her mind does not articulate it. If you respond with calm clarity, her nervous system relaxes. and relaxation is what allows attachment to deepen. This is also when she becomes quiet about her feelings. She feels them deeply, but speaks less about them. Silence here is not absence, it is containment. Understand this: when a woman is just flirting, she expresses; when she is emotionally invested, she manages. If you are still here with her, without forcing progress or retreating out of fear, you are doing something rare. You are allowing her to choose you freely, rather than react to pressure. And that choice, when it finally happens, is not impulsive. It is deliberate, and it lasts. There comes a point where her emotional awareness of you becomes private. This is one of the strongest hidden signals, and almost no man recognizes it in real time. When you are just a crush, her interest is external. She may talk about you, joke about you, seek validation from friends. But when you become more than a crush, her feelings turn inward. She stops outsourcing them. This is when she no longer needs confirmation from others about you. She does not ask for opinions. She does not crowdsource her emotions. What she feels for you becomes something she protects, not something she displays. Privacy is not secrecy, it is ownership. You may notice she becomes less reactive to outside influences. Other men may flirt with her, but her responses feel neutral, not because she is loyal to you, but because her attention has narrowed. Emotional focus has a cost. When it sharpens, distractions lose their pull. At this stage, she becomes acutely aware of how you make her feel after interactions end, not during, after. Does she feel calm or unsettled, grounded or anxious, seen or drained? These after effects matter more than chemistry, and you begin to shape them. Men often think attraction is built in moments of intensity. In reality, attachment is built in the emotional residue you leave behind. If she feels emotionally regulated after being with you, her system associates you with safety. If she feels dysregulated, her system associates you with risk. Here is where another hidden signal appears. She starts adjusting herself around you, not changing who she is, but softening edges, timing her words, choosing vulnerability carefully. This is not submission, it is attunement. Her nervous system is syncing with yours. If you are inconsistent here, the bond weakens quickly, not because she is fragile, but because attunement requires predictability. If your emotional tone shifts unpredictably, her system disengages to self-protect. The men who remain steady at this stage rarely realize how powerful that steadiness is. You are no longer competing with other men, you are influencing her internal baseline. This is also when she may appear less expressive verbally, fewer compliments, less overt affirmation. Do not confuse this with fading interest. Her feelings are no longer seeking your reaction. They are becoming part of her internal landscape. When a woman internalizes her feelings for you, she is no longer deciding if she likes you. She is deciding what role you play in her emotional life. And once a man occupies that space, he is not easily replaced. Because he is no longer a desire, he is a reference point. At this stage, her attention toward you becomes selective in a way that feels almost invisible. She is not constantly reaching out. She is not escalating, but she is always aware. This is the kind of awareness that does not announce itself. It watches quietly. It notices patterns. It remembers details you forgot you shared. When a woman sees you as more than a crush, she stops reacting to who you appear to be and starts observing who you are over time. Consistency becomes louder than charm. How you show up when nothing is at stake matters more than how you perform when something is. This is where men often misjudge the situation. They think interest should increase in volume, more messages, more urgency, more reassurance. But psychological depth does not grow louder, it grows denser, and density can feel like stillness. She may no longer compliment you the way she once did. She may not validate you overtly. That validation has moved inward. She is no longer trying to influence your perception of her. She is measuring the alignment between your actions and your values. Another hidden signal appears here. She becomes emotionally economical. She does not argue for attention. She does not chase clarity. If something feels off, she withdraws slightly to observe rather than confront. This is not indifference. It is discernment. Men who panic here try to provoke reaction. They create drama. They pull away abruptly. They test her to feel desired. And in doing so, they collapse the quiet structure that was forming. The man who understands remains steady without seeking confirmation. He does not punish silence. He does not demand emotional proof. He allows the connection to breathe. This is also when she becomes sensitive to how you speak about other people, especially women. Not because she is jealous, but because she is listening for emotional maturity. Does this man externalize blame? Does he hold bitterness? Does he carry unresolved resentment? Your language now signals future safety or future chaos. If she senses unresolved emotional weight, her system does not confront it. It disengages slowly. But if she senses emotional responsibility, her trust deepens quietly. Here is the truth. When a woman is emotionally invested, she does not test you with words, she tests you with time. She watches who you become when the novelty fades. If you remain grounded, self-directed, and emotionally regulated without needing her to complete you, something powerful happens. She relaxes into the idea of you. And when a woman relaxes into someone emotionally, that is no longer a crush. That is integration. You are no longer someone she desires occasionally. You are someone her system recognizes. And recognition is far more enduring than attraction. There is a quiet shift that happens when a woman has fully moved beyond seeing you as a crush. She begins to feel emotionally accountable to herself, in relation to you, not to you, to herself. This is subtle, but powerful. Her choices around you become more intentional, not more impulsive. She may slow everything down: conversations, responses, physical closeness. This is not hesitation born from doubt. This is pacing born from respect. When something feels valuable, the mind protects it from being rushed. Here is something most men misunderstand. Desire seeks consumption. Emotional significance seeks preservation. When you are just a crush, she wants to experience you. When you are more, she wants to sustain the emotional state you create. You may notice she becomes less reactive to emotional highs and lows. She does not escalate excitement. She does not dramatize distance. She regulates. That regulation is not boredom. It is emotional investment maturing. At this stage, she notices how you handle not being prioritized. If she is busy, stressed, or unavailable, does your emotional tone shift? Do you become passive-aggressive, withdrawn, or do you remain secure in yourself? Your response here communicates everything. Because a man who collapses emotionally when attention fluctuates signals future instability. A man who remains grounded signals long-term safety. Another hidden signal appears. She begins to imagine emotional consequences without voicing them. If she pulls away, would it hurt? If she opens up more, would it deepen? These internal simulations guide her behavior far more than conscious thought. Men who are unaware of this become impatient. They try to define the connection prematurely. They seek certainty to calm their own anxiety. But certainty demanded too early feels like pressure, not clarity. The man who understands allows ambiguity without disengaging. He stays present without clinging. He allows her to choose closeness rather than react to his need. This creates a paradox inside her. She feels both free and drawn, and that combination is rare. When a woman feels emotionally free with a man who still feels grounding, her nervous system stops bracing. It stops guarding. It starts trusting. And trust is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up as consistency, as ease, as the absence of emotional turbulence. If you reach this stage and remain calm, centered, and self-fulfilled, something irreversible happens. She stops evaluating you. She stops asking if this connection is safe. She starts living as if it already is. And once a woman crosses that threshold internally, she does not see you as a possibility anymore. She sees you as part of her emotional reality. When a woman fully realizes you are more than a crush, the final signal does not come from her words or actions. It comes from her emotional surrender to predictability. This is the moment most men never notice, because it feels almost ordinary. But psychologically, it is profound. She stops scanning for alternatives, not consciously, internally. Her attention no longer wanders emotionally, even if opportunities exist, not because she is forcing loyalty, but because her nervous system has settled. You have become familiar in the safest way possible. Here is the deepest truth. The female mind does not attach to excitement long-term. It attaches to emotional regulation, to the man whose presence lowers internal noise rather than amplifies it. When you are more than a crush, She does not feel a rush when she thinks of you. She feels grounded. This is why the final signal often looks like calm. She is no longer trying to decode your intentions. She is no longer protecting herself from disappointment. She assumes emotional continuity, and assumption is the clearest indicator of attachment. You may notice she includes you naturally in her emotional planning, not verbally, internally. When something stressful happens, you are the person her mind moves toward, not to fix it, just to stabilize. This is where many men make a fatal mistake. They interpret calm as stagnation and try to reintroduce intensity. They create emotional spikes to feel desired. But spikes destabilize what she has built internally, and destabilization triggers withdrawal. The man who understands allows calm to deepen. He does not chase passion. He cultivates presence. He remains self-fulfilled, purpose-driven, and emotionally consistent. At this stage, she no longer feels the need to protect herself from you. That does not mean she becomes expressive or dependent. It means her guard relaxes. She shares without strategizing. She rests without anticipating loss. This is not infatuation. This is integration. And here is the truth I want you to hear clearly. When a woman integrates a man emotionally, she does not leave impulsively. She does not replace him easily, because he is no longer competing with other men. He is competing with her internal sense of stability. If being with you feels calmer than being without you, you have already won. Not because you chased, not because you impressed, but because you understood when to hold steady, instead of reaching. That is the hidden signal. And once you recognize it, you stop fearing silence, distance, or restraint, because you finally understand what they really mean.